Well, it's a very warm welcome and thank you for joining us on this independent off-tube studio commentary. The game at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium has just got underway and it's Spurs in 5th against West Ham United in 9th. 6 points between these two sides. Would have been a lot more, you'd imagine, had Spurs' great start to the season continued into November, but they came up against some difficult games at home to Chelsea, that mad game at home to Chelsea where they ended up losing 4-1. Then that last-minute defeat away to Wolves. Then the defeat at home to Aston Villa. And people were starting to worry about Spurs unravelling, but then that superb draw away to City, although they're on the attack inside the first minute here, as Son threads the ball through towards Kulusevski. He's brought down inside the 6-yard box, and there was a couple of Spurs players looking towards our referee Michael Salisbury. They still are asking the question there. Son in particular, the Tottenham captain, Fabianski, the West Ham keeper, didn't look particularly worried about that decision. We'll just see this again as this ball is played through. It looks like Udogie might have just been offside when that ball was played to him, and that may well be what is going to save any kind of potential discussion about whether that is a penalty or not. But looking at that again from Kulusevski, not so sure. We're still waiting for Michael Salisbury to confirm whether or not, so we can actually get this game underway. Looks like we should be able to now. Just to confirm, it's myself, Paul Szczerbakowicz and Tom Wilson taking you through the action. Tom, I'm just thinking about that first move. Although it wasn't a penalty in the end, it was certainly a bright start there from Spurs. Yeah,
very, very quick start from Spurs. They want to get ahead and keep the ball as much as they can very early on and trying to deter West Ham as soon as possible. Obviously not been on the best of form. Obviously we talk about their injuries, and I'm sure we will. They've had a big part to play in the little bit of dip in form. Obviously started the season 10 games unbeaten in the Premier League and then no win in 4. They'll want to start as quickly as possible and not leave this up too long for debate.
Well, no, absolutely. The longer they do, the more West Ham will grow into the game. We've seen this season that there is certainly a real attacking flair about David Moyes' side. Mohamed Kudus is really growing into this team. Thomas Soucek is always there with goals, particularly from set pieces. They're trying with Jared Bowen playing through the middle this evening. We'll see whether that actually pans out, because looking at the way the West Ham have set up now, it may well be that Kudus is actually playing as the number 9 this evening. But just to remind you of the two teams, it is Guillermo Vicario in goal for Spurs. The back four of Pedro Porro, Cristian Romero, Ben Davies and Destiny Udogie. It's Yves Bissouma and Pierre Højbjerg as the two holder midfielders. Brennan Johnson, Giovanni Lo Celso and Dejan Kulusevski ahead of them, with Heung-min Son as the front man. As here comes Spurs again on the counter down the left. Udogie with loads of space down the left-hand side, and his ball into the box is eventually cut out by Ogerd, and it's a corner kick to the home side. Yeah,
it's Udogie getting forward. It's almost like not an overlap, it's an underlapping run from out the inside. Picks up some really good positions in attacking positions. He likes to get forward. He offers them a lot of different options on that left-hand side. He's winning himself a corner very early on.
Pedro Porro now with the in-swinger from the left-hand side, aimed at the edge of the 6-yard box. It's just over the head of Ben Davies, and it's cleared back out into midfield. Udogie was a little bit deeper there this time, one of the shorter players in this Spurs team. Himself and Højbjerg staying a bit deeper, but Lo Celso now with space down the left, heading towards the penalty area. Goes back to Pedro Porro, still on the left-hand side from that corner. His cross-come shot just needed a flick from Son. It just missed the Spurs number 7. And in the end, it was a comfortable save for Fabianski, who probably won't be thanked by David Moyes. It's not a bad idea to try and restart play quickly, but he did it so quickly that no one in a West Ham shirt was really able to take that ball. So Spurs have possession back straight away. And that's something as well. West Ham don't want to make it too easy here for Tottenham, because we can see after just 4 minutes they really have got the bit between their teeth at the start of this match.
Yeah, releasing the ball there early from Fabianski would work pretty well if Mikel Antonio was on the pitch. It's a different option, of course. It is Kudus that looks like he's going through the middle as opposed to Jared Bowen, and he's not as much of a physical threat, unable to hold the ball up. And have to go do something different there, West Ham, I think.
They are going to have to try and think of another way of playing out, as here comes Spurs again down the left. Oh, goodness me, that was an embarrassing fall there from Højbjerg. It's one of those ones where I think anyone who's ever played football anywhere can imagine doing that, where you just sort of lose your balance as you're trying to swing at the ball. But it happens to international footballers as well. And Højbjerg now with the chance on the left-hand side. I'll remind you of the West Ham team in a second. We haven't actually had a chance to go through their 11 yet, but has been a very, very bright start to this game, as we may get a break in play here now, as Højbjerg perhaps desperate to try and make up for that tumble he took in the box a moment ago. He gives away a free kick deep inside West Ham territory. We'll just see this fall before I do the... he's basically gone to try and hit it with his left, And as he's done so, he's played it away with his right. I mean, it would actually be a very good skill if he'd intended to do that.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw Chelsea versus Newcastle the other week. Thiago Silva went to do a similar thing and scoop the ball around, and he ended up falling over and conceding a corner kick.
He did, absolutely. I mean, that was, if anything, that was worse because that was in a defensive position, giving the opposition a corner. But here come West Ham now with a quick ball down the right-hand side. It won't quite stay with Bowen, and it's Udogie now trying to play out from the back. He gets brought down by Souček. So the West Ham team is Lukasz Fabianski in goal. It's a back four of Vladimir Sofal, Kurt Zouma, Naif Ogerd and Emerson. Edson Alvarez and James Ward-Prowse are the two holder midfielders. The three ahead of them are Jared Bowen, Thomas Souček and Lucas Paquetá, with Mohamed Kudus as the front man. The ball now back with Vicario. Just to tell you, it is half-time in the earlier Thursday night game this evening at Goodison Park. It is goalless between Everton and Newcastle United. Looking at the stats, Everton have had the better half in terms of the chances, or certainly more chances, but Newcastle have seen more of the ball. As here comes Spurs now down the right-hand side. The ball switched over towards the left for Johnson. Johnson has an overlap here. Udogie back to Brennan Johnson. He thought about the shot, then he cuts the ball in towards Lo Celso. It's almost like he was in two minds there, Johnson, and in the end it wasn't a shot and the pass wasn't really good enough.
No, it wasn't quite on it, but he's had a couple of options there. Udogie coming forward again, options in the middle. Son just doesn't stop running either. I know he wasn't looking for it then, but just keep an eye on him, and he's constantly moving around between Kurt Zouma and Ogerd. It's good start from Spurs. 6 minutes in, they've had all the ball.
They have, and West Ham are almost by default now sitting deeper and deeper here as Spurs trying down the right-hand side with Pedro Porro, a very tricky player to Kulusevski, who can be even more of a tricky player to dispossess, but at this time Spurs going further back here towards Cristian Romero, over to Højbjerg, who'd wandered over to the right-hand side this time, and Bissouma back to Davies. It's with Lo Celso. He's Bissouma again. There is space here for Spurs on the right-hand side. A ball into the box looking for Kulusevski. Good challenge there from Alvarez to stop that going into the box, and then a good clearance to stop it going away for a corner. But Spurs get the ball back quickly. Nice one-touch stuff here, and it's Højbjerg at the edge of the area to Son. Back to Lo Celso. No options for Son really inside the penalty. Had to go back towards Lo Celso. And now Kulusevski via Pedro Porro back to Cristian Romero, but Spurs moving the ball around very quickly here, and they're not actually gaining any territory, but at the same time there's not much danger of West Ham really picking the ball off. Just as I say that, they have won the ball back, but they've actually won themselves a free kick as Paquetá was brought down. But this will be a worry for David Moyes because his team are pretty much camped at the edge of their own box now. Yeah,
it's the speed at which Spurs try and win the ball back as well whenever they lose it. I know there's a couple of occasions there that they've conceded free kicks, but free kicks in not very dangerous areas inside the West Ham half. But as soon as they lose it, Tottenham, they're trying to get it back, and as you said just a minute ago, they're moving it so quickly, they're bouncing it between players, and yeah, they're not making much headway. There's so many players back for West Ham 8 minutes into the game, and they've whenever Spurs get the ball, they do look a little bit scared of them. But eventually it's going to come to some sort of fruition, you would imagine.
Well, unless West Ham can find a way to arrest it further up the field, the Spurs are going to have so much time around the box, they aren't going to be able to pick their chance. As Giovanni Lo Celso is brought down here, around about the halfway line. He got away from Ward-Prowse, and then he runs into Soufal. Or, to be more specific, Soufal runs into him for that free kick to be going Tottenham's way. And that possession stat we saw, it is only 8 minutes as well, so it's not entirely indicative, but 90% for Spurs after 8 minutes. They really are putting West Ham under a lot of pressure, and here they come again down the left-hand side. Brennan Johnson running into a wall of West Ham players, goes back to Udogie. Now it's with Højbjerg, playing it towards the halfway line for Davies, now across to Bissouma. West Ham with their offside line just at the edge of the area. Spurs heading back towards the halfway line now. There's still plenty of options here for Højbjerg as he picks out a long ball here towards Johnson. Couldn't control it first time, but he's still got an option here to roll this one back towards Pierre Højbjerg. West Ham doing what they can to try and press out. Ward-Prowse there trying to get the ball off Lo Celso, but the Argentinian able to hold on to it. And now he's got a pass down the left-hand side here for Son. There's no one in the box here for Spurs. That was clearly a handball from Thomas Souček. It looked to me like he batted that down as if he was playing basketball. Michael Salisbury is actually quite annoyed that Spurs are even asking the question. Let's have a look at this.
Yeah, at first I did think it was a bit harsh. I thought he just hit him on the arm, but on the replay, he moves his hand towards the ball.
He stops it, and he had a fair play to him for having the nerve to then sort of turn to Son and to the referee. What's he going on about? How have I handballed that? I never even went near my hand. But Spurs still keep the ball in any case. It hasn't really helped West Ham too much in terms of stopping that one going into the box. It's Bissouma now over towards the right, and Kulusevski finding Pedro Porro, who tried to thread a ball in towards Son. Ogerd is able to get there first, and then Paquetá with a header back towards Emerson, who has to use his weaker foot there just to clear that anywhere at all up towards the halfway line, and there's no one in the West Ham shirt even close to that ball.
No one near. The furthest man forward is Kudus, and he's only, I'd say, around 30 yards from the halfway line when that ball comes forward.
Well, here comes Spurs again. Kulusevski with a nice ball in towards Pedro Porro. His cross is cut out just at the edge of the 6-yard box by James Ward-Prowse. It's a corner kick to Spurs. You could say they've worked a few minutes to get this corner, but in the meantime they've also worn West Ham down and shown just how quick they are at moving the ball from right to left.
Yeah, definitely. They're dominant in this first 10 minutes. You know, not many chances as we mentioned, but West Ham, you've got to be thinking that they're in for a game here, because Spurs have just looked really, really good.
Spurs have looked very buoyant at the start of this game. Out-swinging corner from Pedro Porro onto the head of Romero, and it's into the back of the net. It's taken just under 11 minutes, and Tottenham Hotspur take the lead. It's a powerful but still looping header there from Cristian Romero. I just wonder if Fabianski might take a little bit of the blame for this, because although it's a good header into the corner, I don't think it was hit with that much power. I thought Fabianski could have perhaps got a hand to it, but he's not able to, and Spurs have got the goal that really their starters deserved.
Yeah, it definitely has been deserved. That's the right word. It's right in not the top corner per se, but it's in the side netting. It's the furthest away from Fabianski that it possibly can be. It's a good ball in from Pedro Porro. Not much pace on it. It was sort of floated in towards the penalty spot. I reckon it would have probably bounced on the penalty spot if Romero wasn't there. And he just gets up higher than everyone else. He's maybe not as tall as Agard, but he definitely gets a couple of inches above him. Times his jump really well. It's right in that corner.
I mean, I'm looking at that sort of reverse angle from pitch side, from where the corner kick was taken. You could say I was a bit harsh with my assessment of Fabianski, but then at the same time, as you say, there's not a huge amount of power on the header, so it's almost like he's misjudged the flight of the ball. We can see he's almost sort of landed awkwardly into the post with his shoulder, so it's almost like he wasn't really quite aware. He didn't quite have his bearings of where his posts were, I don't think.
Yeah, you could definitely make an argument for that. They've made a mistake here as well, Fabianski.
He's miskicked a pass back to him there, Fabianski, but West Ham just about mop up in midfield. So 12 minutes gone, unofficial independent off-tube studio commentary, and Spurs have broken the deadlock, not just in this game, but this evening as well, with the other game being goalless at half-time between Everton and Newcastle. Here come West Ham, though, trying to respond straight away. It's a ball into the box, and that's unbelievably close to West Ham having an equaliser. It actually wouldn't have counted, because whether it was Soufal on the right or Kudus actually taking the shot, there was somebody offside. It's actually Mohamed Kudus, who's a good 2 or 3 yards offside in the end. But what a response that would have been from West Ham. Yeah,
he's not quite shown the prowess of a seasoned striker in terms of his positioning, because he is some way offside, quite eager. Not many chances, not much of the ball. West Ham in the opening 12.5 minutes, so you can understand that. But that would have been an amazing response from the away side to bounce back and get a goal there. And Vicario seemed to cover his goal quite well. In truth, really, it was off target, but it was a decent response from West Ham.
It was. So West Ham did well to try and fashion that move so quickly. And as I say, if Kudus had just held his line, but then he may not have got to that ball anyway, the way it was played to him. Davies now playing it back towards Vicario, who doesn't want to take too long here. Bowen is closing him down, and so is Kudus, and he used the help of Højbjerg, just about getting the ball away from his own penalty area. Spurs over the halfway line now. Udogie getting the ball from Bissouma, back to the former Brighton man, who was pretty much an outcast under Antonio Conte last season. Made a couple of comments about Bissouma's sort of footballing intelligence, and that was actually quite badly received by pundits across the UK, I seem to remember. But since then, Postecoglou's come in, and Bissouma's playing like the sort of defensive midfielder we know he could be.
Well, a lot of the Tottenham fans, when he sort of started playing games earlier on in the season, they sort of said, "Where's this player been for since he joined? Like, he's not been this good. At least he's not had the chance, maybe the run of games, to show that he's how good he is." He got obviously Højbjerg out the side. They're both playing together today, which is quite rare for them. So it'll be interesting to see that sort of balance. Maybe I thought at first maybe it might be too defensive, but on the balance of things in the opening 14 minutes, it's been anything but.
No, they sort of take it in turns, don't they? Bissouma's pushed forward a couple of times. Højbjerg's done as well. As here comes Kulusevski's got the whole of this right wing, getting all the way to the penalty. We're teasing up for Johnson, who hits it straight into Soufal. He should have done a little bit better there, Johnson. I don't think he was forced to hit it first time. He could have pretty much just taken a touch, got Soufal out of the way, and then buried it.
Yeah, he looked a little bit panicked, didn't he? Almost if he didn't expect the ball to reach him, because I'm not sure who it was. Was it Lo Celso in the middle? He sort of let it run. He maybe could have took a touch, and then when it comes to Johnson, he thinks, oh, maybe deer in the headlights sort of thing. He just hits it, and he didn't really have to. He could have took his time. But again, it speaks to Tottenham's dominance in this opening 15 minutes.
It does. Spurs pushing forward here again now down the left. Højbjerg, no option to play that one towards Johnson. Back towards Bissouma, and now the referee has stopped play because Mohamed Kudus has got an issue with his boot. I'm not really sure that's an issue for the other 21 players to worry about. He should just go off the pitch and change his boot. But, of course, West Ham will argue that then they're going to be down to 10 men, so that's not fair. So they'll have to let him change his boot. We're seeing this replay again. Yeah, just looking at Fabianski, the way he doesn't move his feet quickly enough for me. And it's almost like the way that ball hits Romero and then starts looping up in the air. Fabianski's watching it, and then he realises he's got to do something, but by then it's too late.
Yeah, it's an interesting one with Fabianski at West Ham. Two great goalkeepers in him and Areola, and they sort of do switch and change roles every now and again. I know Areola started the last game, and then Fabianski's in for him today. So it's almost a similar thing to what's going on at Arsenal, and this sort of thing with a few different teams where they want two really good goalkeepers.
Well, they do. It's not an easy mix to have, and of course the fact that Arteta's done it in such a public way, and now means that every time whichever keeper's playing, if he makes a great save or he makes a big mistake, the camera always focuses on the other keeper just to see how he reacts. And as I say, of course, it was David Raya's turn to be under the spotlight on Tuesday in the game against Luton. The Brentford loanee making a couple of errors, particularly the one that went just under his body. Although I say Brentford loanee, I think Thomas Frank's made it clear that he doesn't expect Raya to ever go back to Brentford. He is going to be signed by Arsenal, whether it's confirmed in January or indeed in the summer. But here at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, 16 minutes gone. It is Spurs pushing forward here with Davies finding Kulusevski. And now it's with Son. Son, he should have rolled that to Kulusevski, and he apologises to his teammate there because he didn't really have any kind of run-up or momentum. And it's a tame one at Fabianski, really.
It is. It's quite choreographed as well. He opens up his body and he knows he's going to go to the right of Fabianski, and it's a little bit too easy. And in the end, it's right down the middle. It's right down the throat of the West Ham goalkeeper. Kulusevski got himself into a really good position. Obviously got the equaliser against Manchester City in what was a thrilling game, and he should have been played through there by Heung-min Son.
Should have been, as we see Postecoglou, normally poker face, doesn't show too much of reaction either way. But he'll be very pleased with this start. His team needed to show a reaction after the last 3 or 4 games, and they have done. As another player loses his boot, I don't know if these guys aren't untying their laces properly, but Isla Celso now has got a problem as West Ham have possession. They're pushing forward towards the edge of the Spurs penalty area. Emerson trying a shot from just outside the box, charged down by Højbjerg, and then in his attempt to control it, Paquetá is dispossessed by Kulusevski, and now Son trying to switch the play over towards the left. It's behind Brennan Johnson, although the Welsh international should still keep that in play. And in the end, he does, although the move breaks down for Spurs. It's not a counter-attack anymore. They're just going to have a bit more of possession play. It's now with Højbjerg over towards the right-hand side for Kulusevski. Son at the edge of the area. Back towards Højbjerg. And under a bit of pressure there from Paquetá. He goes back towards Cristian Romero. Comfortable here for Spurs. West Ham still struggling to get any kind of meaningful possession, really, as Kulusevski trying a back heel there to play in Heung-min Son. That was well read, though, by Naif Forgerd, who then clears it out for a throw to Spurs down the right-hand side. Taken quickly by Pedro Porro. Nice exchange here between Bissouma, Kulusevski then into the box. He couldn't quite get a pass away. It's then cleared by Alvarez, and suddenly West Ham have got a counter. It's 3-on-3 if Kudus plays this right. I don't think he has. It's a slow pass to Paquetá, who was already being closed down by 2 players. He loses the ball, but then Kudus wins it back here for West Ham. He skips past Bissouma, plays it back to Paquetá, and the move carries on here for West Ham. It's a ball in for Paquetá, takes a deflection which won't reach Kudus, but it does at least give West Ham a corner.
Yeah, first corner of the game for West Ham, and a decent chance from a set piece. It'll be interesting to see what sort of setup they have, of course. No Antonio as well for West Ham, so it does decrease sort of the height and the strength in the box for them. But of course, when you've got James Ward-Prowse taking the set piece, you've always got a good chance of at least getting a strike on target. Yeah,
the microphone there, just recording the pitch side sound effects, getting in the corner kick taker's way. Ward-Prowse just having to shift that out the way, but this was a good move from West Ham to get this corner. Now Ward-Prowse's ball, that's straight towards the goal, and Vicario bats that away, and it has been, I think it's been given as a free kick against the West Ham players for crowding the goalkeeper. I mean, arguably, not sure that Zuma does anything wrong there, really, other than jumping within the same place that Vicario wants to jump, but it was obviously seen as an obstruction.
Yeah, or potentially could have been given as a goal kick. It did come off Zuma, I think, last year, Spurs.
Here comes Spurs now at the other end, a ball towards Son at the edge of the area, but that's well marshalled by Naif Forgerd. He's able to put that out for a throw, but Spurs, having had a goal kick a few seconds ago, they play a long ball up, force a clearance from a West Ham defender, and now they've got a throw on level with the penalty area, and it's now taken a short here by Pedro Porro. Gets it back from his captain Heung-min Son. It's now with Cristian Romero. towards the halfway line for Ben Davies. But West Ham, interesting, they're not pressing out, they're not pushing out too far. It's almost as if David Moyes doesn't trust their offside, and he'd prefer them just to try and soak up the pressure than to try and catch Spurs out.
Yeah, which makes sense really when you look at the positions of Pedro Porro and Destiny Udogie. They're so high up.
Yeah, I mean, they're like almost additional attacking wingers on these moves, aren't they? And here they are now pushing forward here with Brennan Johnson getting the ball at the edge there. Tees it up for Lo Celso, trying to pick out the top corner with a sort of curling, precise effort there off the left boot, but it's just a little bit too high from him in the end, and it's away for a goal kick.
Yeah, I think it was the right idea, though, from Lo Celso. He's probably high in confidence. He scored as well, of course, in that 3-3 game against Manchester City, and a decent goal as well. I think it's the right way to hit it, the way he's done it across the face of goal, almost looking for that top corner. Lovely curling effort, but he just doesn't quite catch it right.
Zuma taking a short goal kick just to Fabianski, just so he can clear it long. It's then headed back by Pierre Højbjerg. And Tottenham have it back here in midfield now with Lo Celso over towards Kulusevski. Celso with that speculative effort just a moment ago. Kulusevski now to Bissouma. Celso stayed on that right-hand side. He needs an option though. Pedro Porro's joined this attack as well. And now Kulusevski at the edge of the area, just losing his balance. That's a poor clearance though from Morgan. He only goes about 10 yards further forward. Udogie now finding Brennan Johnson. Left-hand edge of the penalty area. Now back to Højbjerg. Johnson again. Spots the run of Udogie into the box. Back towards Højbjerg, looking for an option to get this ball into the penalty area. He plays it square now to Lo Celso. And a lot of passes being exchanged here by Spurs. But West Ham keeping the line here at the edge of their own box. Now Son at the edge of the area runs into his own teammate. It may still drop here for Lo Celso. His shot is charged down. Bissouma's effort is also charged down. And it's gone a long way back now towards Pierre Højbjerg. Giovanni Lo Celso. Finding Udogie, tries to turn into the box. It's with Son now. That's good work, though. Alvarez fulfilling his defensive midfield duties there. And then I think Zuma expecting a bit too much from Fabianski. It's almost like you're saying, well, come on, I'm going to collect this. But it was still a long way out from the goalkeeper. I'll get your thoughts on that in a second, Tom, because Spurs carrying on the attack here now with Kulusevski. He goes back towards Romero. Right-hand edge of the penalty area now for Tottenham. Back heel from Bissouma. Lo Celso brought down at the edge of the area, but I think he falls down rather than being brought down. I don't think there was a foul on the Spurs midfielder there. Clearance then from Emerson finding Paquetá before Kudus is being held onto there by Ben Davies. He doesn't agree with it, but it will be a free kick to West Ham and a bit of respite for David Moyes' side. Yeah,
well needed, a little bit of respite as well for West Ham on a couple of occasions, and maybe 4 or 5 in the whole game, but certainly the last 5 minutes they've cleared the ball long. There's just been no option there whatsoever. This is a bit better.
Well, this is much better if this pass finds Jarrod Bowen. It was a long ball from that free kick where Kudus was fouled inside his own half. There was a long ball played over towards the right-hand side for Vladimir Soufal, and he hit it first time to pick out Jarrod Bowen. The flag has gone up in the meantime. I mean, the pass never reached Bowen anyway, so the move was breaking down for West Ham in any case. But it'll be interesting to see whether it was Soufal who had already gone offside, whether it was in fact Jarrod Bowen. But we have gone past the halfway point in this first half. 23 minutes on the clock. It is Tottenham 1, West Ham 0. It will be Tom to take us through to half-time.
Yeah, thank you very much. You mentioned a well-needed bounce back, really, from the previous results. Tottenham in that game against Manchester City, had they lost, they'd have become the first ever Premier League team to lose 4 consecutive games after being the first team to score. They'll be really glad that they didn't break that record. But they've started this game definitely the better of the two sides. 23 and a half minutes gone, 1-0 up at home to West Ham, and so far no real sign of West Ham posing any pressure on the back line or on the goal of Vicario. They've had a corner, West Ham, and they caused a little bit of problems, but that's about it really, as there's a ball down the right hand side that's intercepted by Destiny Udogie. Goes out for a throw in around 30 yards from the Tottenham goal. It will be taken by Vladimir Soufal. Not many options forward for him though. There's a run there from Jarrod Bowen, but it's a lacklustre throw. It's intercepted. They've won the ball back though through Mohamed Kudus. Down the line on the right hand side, around 10 yards from the byline, gets a left footed crossing towards the front post. Headed away though by Cristian Romero, and then the seconds are gobbled up by Dejan Kulusevski, and Spurs back comfortable in possession. And for me, just West Ham, that's a little bit better from them. I was just going to say they look a little bit soft in pressing, but Kudus wins the ball back, gets a strike on goal, but it's easily saved by Vicario, and that might very well be the first chance we've seen from West Ham.
The first one, absolutely. The first one that's not been stopped for an offside. You're absolutely right, Tom. And I mean, there was a bit of an argument that maybe Udogie was fouled, but I don't think there was a foul on him. Kudus, because he won the ball back himself. He wanted to take the shot himself, and I think there was probably a better option of trying to play in Paquetá. But if Spurs keep playing out from the back, that's going to be encouragement for West Ham to push forward, and they've just won the ball back.
They have, and on the left-hand side now with Paquetá looking for an option in the middle, but it's intercepted. Pedro Porro can take a couple of touches. Took a risk there, Porro, but he's helped out by Yves Bissouma, and then Spurs can play out now down the right-hand side with Emil Højbjerg looking over the top through the middle for Johnson. It's a lovely ball as well. He's got options left and right. He goes towards his right with Kulusevski. First time ball across the face of goal is intercepted by Thomas Souček, and then the ball's cleared away by Fabianski. But another decent chance there for Spurs. They've won the ball back with Udogie around 40 yards from goal. Poor touch from Jared Bowen's allowed Spurs to regain possession. Good work from Johnson as well to find Pedro Porro as a strike from distance, but it's way over the I think it was over and wide as well from the man who got the assist for the opening goal. But West Ham, when they do get the ball going forward, they just look a little bit rushed. Making a mistake there, it was Jared Bowen on that occasion down the right hand side, just a heavy touch. They're just not quite settled down yet, have they, in the opening 26 minutes?
Well, no, they seem to be just that little bit better pushing forward when they have those few moments of attacking possession. But when they're in defence, they're sitting very deep when Spurs have the ball. And when they win the ball off Spurs, because Spurs have got so many players further forward, it's almost like they either clear it long, which means they lose it straight away, or they try and play out from the back with Bowen playing a loose pass like we just saw there, and West Ham are losing the ball. They haven't quite been able to work out what to do with Spurs, and here comes Spurs again. I mean, that last move there where Kulusevski played it across looking for Johnson, he could have tried to pick out Son as well, but I think he was probably just a little bit too far away from him, as Kulusevski there clearly used his hand as he tried to let that ball get away from. Well, he didn't want to let the ball get away from him, essentially.
No, I thought that was going to be a yellow card brandished by the referee, but
the yellow cards have gone for handballs have gone full circle. I remember a time around 10 years ago when the Spanish league, essentially, if you handballed it, you got booked. Doesn't even matter. It could be the most accidentally touches you had. It's a yellow card, and thankfully it's not got to that stage. But we'll come back to that in a second, because here comes Spurs now with Johnson's ball into the box.
Yeah, across the face of goal, but it's comfortably collected by Fabianski. A little bit of a stretch, but no one in there in a white shirt really that was going to cause any problems. And it's Johnson who's in a game where 26 minutes in, Spurs have looked really, really lively. I don't think Johnson's settled down just yet either. Of course, made that move from Nottingham Forest for quite a large sum of money, and there was question marks around that. He showed signs of why he was brought into the club so far, but he's not really hit the heights just yet. Of course, very early on in his North London career. There's a throw-in on the left-hand side for West Ham, and a switch of play from Agard towards Soufal. Chest touched it down. He's got Jared Bowen on his right-hand side, and he finds the England international. He's coming forward now towards the edge of the box, hits the byline. Soufal with the overlapping run, but it's really good work from Destiny Udogie to get across, and for all the attacking input that he puts in this Spurs front line in terms of getting forward. He showed some good defensive work there. He
has, yeah. I mean, you've got a feel for poor Soufal. He's run the whole length of the pitch. He's deflected the ball off his opposite number, but then as he's fallen into the advertising boards and actually taken quite a whack for his trouble as well, the ball's hit back off him, so it's not even a corner kick for West Ham after all of that. But they've got to keep trying to sort of live with Spurs. There's going to be a moment where they just get that little bit of a half chance, but for the moment, it's Spurs coming forward again.
Yeah, it could be another chance. Johnson again. First time left-footed crosses. Blocked by Thomas Souček, and then he finds Vladimir Soufal, who's finally come back from that fall that was mentioned a moment ago. The flag has gone up on the far side, so whether anything would have come from that wouldn't have counted anyway. I believe it was the ball towards Johnson that was offside, so it will be a free kick for West Ham, a chance for them to settle and potentially just throw a few bodies forward. It'll be Fabianski to take it. Spurs been the better of the two sides in terms of head-to-heads between Tottenham and West Ham. It's a good record in the last five. They've been unbeaten in the last five with 4 wins and 1 draw, and it's going that way as well at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. It's Fabianski's kick finds Emerson, but he's only able to head it back towards goal, and Spurs could be in here because they've got Højbjerg and then Kulusevski. There's bodies in the box. Kulusevski cuts back left-footed. Can he look for room for a cross? He's been crowded out a little bit. He finds Pedro Porro on the corner of the box instead. The attack's just fizzled out a little bit as Yves Bissouma picks it up. He cycles back with Romero. It's a poor header from Emerson. He's maybe even potentially been put in hot water by Fabianski. We'll bring Paul's thoughts on that in a second because the ball's back in the box with Brennan Johnson's head. He headed it towards Højbjerg, unable to clear West Ham. Tottenham just regained possession through Lo Celso. claiming that there's a foul there from Jared Bowen and potentially just an overzealous challenge. And there's another one on him, this time by James Ward-Prowse, and West Ham have won the ball back. Can they come away now with the counter-attack? Jared Bowen, James Ward-Prowse in the Tottenham half now, around 40 yards from goal. A switch of play towards Emerson, tries to ring it down. It's a heavy touch that allows Romero to come in, and two occasions there, West Ham been put in precarious positions by their own teammates' passes.
They have. I mean, that ball out from Fabianski was very high. I mean, Emerson had to do everything he could just to keep that in play, and by doing that, obviously, as you mentioned, he headed it straight back into danger, and Spurs very nearly got something out of that. But again, West Ham held firm, and Spurs never really got a shot away in anger, and here comes Emerson now pushing forward.
Yeah, got bodies backwards, and they've got bodies forwards now, because Kudus is through one-on-one, left-foot strike across the face of goal. The flag might have gone up on this near side, but either way, Kudus should have hit the back of the net. The flag does go up on the near side. It was offside, it wouldn't have counted. But what a great chance. It was Emerson with a steaming run through the middle, and it's a late run from Kudus, and again, he's a couple of yards offside, but he's got to be hitting the target there.
There's two things. He has to hit the target. He doesn't know he's offside, and in that position, he's going to hit it to take a shot anyway, so he might as well get it on target. The other thing as well is he should be onside. That Spurs line wasn't doing something particularly sneaky. He just wasn't paying attention. He started his run and never checked back, and that's why he was offside.
Yeah, potentially not used to playing in that position. He's not played there many times, and I was surprised that it wasn't Jared Bowen leading the line for them. He has got 3 goals in the league very early on in his West Ham career, just a 12th Premier League appearance for him this evening. But Spurs play out from their goal kick. 31 minutes gone. It's Tottenham Hotspur 1, West Ham United 0, and it's been all the home side really, in truth. Udogie's got it now, making his way in towards the West Ham half. He plays it to Johnson on his left, a heavy touch from him, and the ball goes out of play. It will be a throw-in for West Ham.
Yeah, they'll be very happy about that. Just a second of breathing space here. Just a little bit of time to try and slow things down here, because Spurs right now are rampant. Although I say rampant, they're rampant in the midfield. Fabianski actually hasn't got that much work. His outfield players certainly do, but other than picking the ball out of the net and claiming a couple of crosses, he's not really had too many shots on target to deal with, Fabianski.
No, not at all, but that was the same, really. Similar in the last game against Crystal Palace, and then it was a goal that David Moyes described as horrendous that they conceded, that meant that they drew 1-1 in another London derby. Kudus did score in that match, and he's not quite hit those heights just yet. The ball's at the back for Tottenham with Romero. He goes all the way back to his goalkeeper Vicario. He's been a good signing in between the sticks for Spurs. It's obviously big. I was going to say big shoes to fill. It's big gloves to fill, isn't it, in Hugo Lloris? But he's done it quite admirably. Again, he's not had much to do either this evening.
He's had a very quiet evening, and it's a weird one with Lloris, because, of course, he is still a Tottenham player, isn't he? Just not registered in the Premier League squad. Just turns up, does his training, and then goes home. And as I say, if there's any Premier League clubs that want me to train as like a goalkeeper like that, I'm still very much available. But no, he stepped in, and the first couple of games there was a few question marks, a couple of crosses he wasn't too sure on. Didn't look like a particularly big presence, but you've got to say that in that run where Spurs were beating everyone, he was very much a big part of that, and has made some superb saves. There's a bit of a problem here for West Ham. Paquetá's down on the ground. Yeah,
32.5 minutes gone, and this won't be good viewing if you're of a West Ham United persuasion, because Lukasz Paquetá seems to be in some discomfort. He's holding, I believe, the left calf. He's not got back to his feet just yet, and David Moyes has given instructions to Pablo Fornals to get warm. So
yeah, I mean, Fornals or Benrahma, you would say that the natural replacements for the sort of attacking left there for West Ham, if it turns out that Paquetá can't play on. I mean, he can't really be much closer to the touchline, but they obviously don't feel as though they can move him just yet. And David Moyes using this as a moment just to have a quick word with Pablo Fornals. Let him know exactly what he expects of him. But it's been a very difficult first half here for West Ham. And their form going into this game has actually been very good. Their draw against Palace was their first game in 5 that they didn't win, following wins at home to Olympiacos, home to Forest, away to Burnley, away to Backa Topola as well. And you mentioned another London derby. West Ham's next game is another London derby. They're away to Fulham on Sunday before their game at home to Freiburg, wrapping up their Europa League campaign, the group stage of the Europa League. Whereas Spurs, they're at home to Newcastle on Sunday afternoon. That should be a great game, I think, at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium before a Monday night game in that Christmas week. Is that going to be the Friday night game? In fact, it's the 15th, isn't it? That'll be the Friday night game next week when Spurs are away to Forest.
Yeah, 5 games unbeaten before this one. West Ham qualified for the knockout stages of the Europa League, so it's been a good season for them so far. But tonight's not been great because here comes Spurs again for a second. It's a strike from the edge of the box from Lo Celso, and it's saved by Fabianski. Batted it away, and then his defenders do just enough to clear it away. A really good chance. Lo Celso, he's had a couple of strikes already in this game, and that one was on target. If not prolific, it at least caused a save from Fabianski.
Well, it did, and the strike was pretty much at the goalkeeper because of the height of it. He wasn't able to catch it. Here comes Spurs again, though. The pass is just behind Lo Celso, and then Souček using Fabianski, who clears it long. Yeah,
he's had a lot to do, Fabianski, just then. A clearance, and of course the save moments before that. Spurs, one thing I've noticed in the 35 minutes gone is they don't let the ball stay out of play for too long. They want to get it back underway as quickly as possible at every opportunity.
It is very, very quick from Spurs. They don't want to give West Ham any time, and here they come again. It's just relentless now from the home side.
It is relentless. Not a large number of chances coming from this volume of possession from Spurs, but they won't mind having all the ball.
They're laying the groundwork though, aren't they? Because with the amount of effort they're putting into moving the ball around this, they're going to tire West Ham out. So at some stage they'll know that one killer pass is going to get through because the West Ham defenders have just been chasing everything all evening.
Yeah, West Ham struggling so far. 36 minutes gone, and they've struggled as well against teams occupying top 6 positions before now. Just 1 draw and 3 losses against teams sitting in the top 6. They have scored in each of those, unable to score so far in this one. They've won the ball back and then subsequently are able to get a counter-attack going with Jarrod Bowen. Kudus makes a run, but it's a heavy touch from him. It's a poor ball in truth from Jarrod Bowen. Maybe they could benefit, Paul, from just sitting on the ball and not trying to go on this counter-attack, but just having a little bit of a spell of possession.
Well, they need to think that so far their approach has been as soon as they get the ball, they hit it long, try and go on an attack and surprise Spurs. But that hasn't surprised Spurs, so potentially just trying to hold on to the ball. They've got Alvarez and Ward-Prowse, so we're excellent at doing that. And perhaps just to get them into the game a little bit more because their 2 best ball-playing midfielders are being bypassed at the moment.
Yeah, they are. Pedro Porro to the right-hand side of Kulusevski on the byline, coming forward at Emerson, trying to get it on that left foot. He's crowded out a little bit, this Swede, but he just managed to dig across out. It's headed away, or chested away rather, by Thomas Souček and then further by Jarrod Bowen, but they've given the ball back to Spurs. It's in the box now with Johnson. Left-footed strike is comfortably saved by Fabianski in goal. And a few more chances coming in for Spurs now, causing saves from Fabianski. That one was probably too central, but again, it just goes to show Spurs winning the ball back as quickly as possible and trying to get attempts on goal.
They do. I mean, the angles were all against Johnson there, really. So it was going to be very hard for him to get that shot away. Now we've seen that previous effort from Lo Celso, which was batted up in the air by Fabianski. You can see, saw it all the way, though. But what will worry David Moyes and Fabianski was the fact the first 15-20 minutes, West Ham had a lot of defending to do, but their keeper wasn't really that involved. Now Fabianski is getting more involved. Spurs are getting more shots away. So West Ham have got to do something to try and arrest this further up the field.
Yeah, it's just his first Premier League appearance of the season. Fabianski, Areola's featured in all of them before this one. Ward-Prowse has got it, gives it to Soufal. Deep cross from him. It's punched away by Vicario. It needed dealing with that one. And then Udogie clears it off Soufal for a goal kick, not for the first time in this game. But Vicario forced into at least some action. It was a questionable cross from Soufal in that way. I think they call the corridor of uncertainty, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's exactly that. I think that really looking at that replay from our perspective, it seems obvious that the keeper needs to go for it, but it's just the angle of which that ball is put in. It just has that little bit of doubt as a loose ball now at the edge of the Spurs penalty area.
Yeah, Bowen's picked it up on the byline, tries to dig a cross out, does take a deflection on its way, and then Vicario is able to come and collect. And again, Spurs trying to get it back underway as quickly as possible, this time through Udogie. It's really good defensive work, though, from Mohamed Kudus just to hold him up, and the ball's forced back towards Ben Davies, who is occupied this season and maybe forced through injury as a centre-half in a back 2, where usually we've only seen him play in a back 3. The ball's on the right-hand side now with Kulusevski trying to find space on that left foot. He finds the edge of the box in Højbjerg, gets a 1-2 from Son. There's a collision off the ball between Højbjerg and Agard. Referee says nothing doing, and West Ham can come down the other way. Emerson high up the field on the halfway line. He's crowded out by no less than 3 in white, and they win it back, Spurs. It's back and forth stuff this between Spurs and West Ham. The ball's through for Kulusevski. It's slightly overhit. Agard's able to come across and defend it. It goes out for a corner for Spurs, and it wasn't very protesting. The questions weren't being protested that much, but there was a question mark of a penalty.
Potentially, yes. I mean, Alvarez gets in the way of Højbjerg there. The question, I suppose, is what is Alvarez supposed to do? He's almost like Højbjerg's almost stood on him already before he's had a chance to get out of the way. But Spurs now winning themselves a corner on the right-hand side.
Yeah, 40th minute, Spurs 1-0 up against West Ham. And a chance to double that lead. Pedro Porro crossed in towards a similar position there where the first one came from, but this one's dealt with. It's been recycled back to the corner taker, though. And the Spaniard goes inside to Yves Bissouma. He goes square to the goal scorer Romero, and then further left to Lo Celso. Dink ball towards the back post to where Davis is occupying some space. It's punched. Kulusevski on the rebound, and then another chance for Bissouma. Strike away at goal. It's over. It's three quick succession chances for Spurs. Are unable to take advantage. And they've got Fabianski to thank for the first of those.
They certainly do. The ball in from Lo Celso is a good one. The punch clear from Fabianski is excellent. Then the block from Emerson as the ball was put back in by Kulusevski. And then, we've been praising Yves Bissouma this evening, but in that position, a shot on your weaker left foot from outside the box, there's probably 4 or 5 players Spurs would have picked before Bissouma for taking that effort there.
Yeah, definitely. It's high, it's wide, it's not too handsome from the former Brighton man. And it's led to a goal kick for West Ham. And again, just a chance for them to just take a little bit of respite and take a little bit of break. They've tried to pump it long downfield, but surprise, surprise, Spurs have won the ball back inside their own half. Now 5 minutes of normal time remaining, and here goes Lo Celso. He's got a run from Johnson. Yves Bissouma's inside, and Udoghi's made a run as well. He goes with Johnson, and then back to Bissouma. There's a run there from Pedro Porro, but Yves Bissouma goes square to Højbjerg instead. It's calm and comfortable play yet again from Tottenham Hotspur. Yves Bissouma's seen a lot of the ball, just waiting for options forward. He goes to Lo Celso on the left-hand side and then back in towards Yves Bissouma. And you'd wonder whether West Ham are just thinking, trying to get in at half-time, keeping it at 1-0 and just risk maybe and not having this lead doubled, because in terms of attacking output, they've not had too much, but you've got to wonder if they go 2-0 down at half-time, it could spell danger in the second half.
Well, it will do. I think that's a second goal here for Spurs. Now, that's why Spurs want this goal before half-time, because they really want to put the game to bed. They know the pace of which they played in the first half is going to be difficult to replicate throughout the 90 minutes. And you're against a very good West Ham team where Ange Postecoglou and his players will know that 1-0's not enough. West Ham have always got enough in them to get an equaliser, so Spurs just need to do that a little bit more. And it's not been perfect from Spurs. The energy levels have been great, but sometimes the final third passes haven't quite been there yet.
Yeah, I've got to agree. And that's a lovely ball, though, towards Mohamed Kudus. He's hit the box, cutting across the face of goal on his left foot, trying to find room for a strike. He instead finds a teammate, Emerson, but I think it's Paqueta, sorry. I think he's found himself offside, so he's not even tried to attempt to win the ball back, and that means the referee's not blown up for it, and we're playing on. And Spurs, again, are going to come and try and come forward through Kulusevski. 42 minutes gone. Bissouma inside towards Udoghi. There's a run there from Heung-min Son, but he goes left instead to Brennan Johnson. Heung-min Son's continued his run, but the Welshman has continued dribbling. He's done really well, and a left-footed cross, he's cleared away just about by a combination of Agard and then Soufal. And now Kudus has got it on the right-hand side. He goes inside to Soufal. There's a foul there by Destiny Udoghi, and it's a free kick to West Ham just inside their own half.
You mentioned Paqueta there when he was in an offside position. He's probably been the most anonymous of the West Ham attacking players, really, hasn't he? We've seen a little bit from Kudus trying to get forward. Bowen's obviously been involved. Souček helping out in central midfield, but Paqueta really has, with that knock he had earlier in the first half. I just wonder if he might be due for a half-time change anyway. Yeah,
of course. We did see Pablo Fornals stripped, not fully ready, but he was definitely taking a few layers off. He had a bit of a warm-up, so yeah, I do wonder whether you're right and whether we'll see a change at half-time. There's a lovely ball there towards Paqueta on the left-hand side. He's quite reluctant to go down the line and have a run at Kulusevski. Instead, goes back towards James Ward-Prowse, and then he goes square to Thomas Souček. He's been on decent goal-scoring form in the last few games for both club and country. Kudus is found down the right-hand side. He's done really well as well to shrug off his defender. It's crossed towards the back post, towards Paqueta. He should be hitting the target there. He's fluffed his lines. He's headed the ball wide of the goal, and in truth, it was nowhere near Vicario's goal.
Well, maybe he's got an airport. Maybe he's listening to us saying that he needs to go off at half-time, and that's a terrible header from Paqueta. He's got to do so much better there, because when you look at the fact that he's got two players, he could head that across to Alvarez or to Bowen, and he decides to go for goal himself, and he's missed it by a long way. And I'll tell you what, if David Moyes was sort of 50-50 on taking him off at half-time, I think he might have just made his mind up.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really good work from Mohamed Kudus. Shrugs off Ben Davies. He tells him, get in the gym, get on the weights. And it's a good cross as well towards the back post. He's unmarked, Paqueta. a clear chance at goal, and he just fluffed his lines, and Spurs can come away thankful that the score isn't 1-1, and they're looking to double their lead, Spurs, with around a minute of normal time remaining. I can't imagine we'll have too much added on. Here's Højbjerg, looks for Pedro Porro inside the box now, coming away from goal on the byline, back towards Højbjerg. Kulusevski's there as well, on his left foot, trying to dig out a cross, instead goes square to Bissouma, gets a 1-2, and then Højbjerg picks it up, cross towards the front post, cleared away by Agard, up towards the halfway line, but again, no one there in claret and blue for West Ham. Just no options.
No, I mean, they're in that difficult position of they want to have an attacking option, but if they're a man down at the edge of their own box, then that's going to make it that little bit easier for Spurs. So David Moyes will be looking at our fourth official here just to see how much added time there'll be as we're over the 45 minutes now. Yeah,
we've just hit 45. The ball's with Spurs inside their own half. And there's the fourth official there has indicated a minimum of 2 minutes added on at the end of this first half. Spurs coming forward down the left-hand side with Brennan Johnson trying to find room for a strike. He does get a strike on goal. It's tame. A little bit of a P-roller. I think a few worms were killed in the process there, and it's a comfortable save for Fabianski.
Well, it's almost like he's gone for some sort of Ronaldo contact with the ball there, hasn't he? He wants to sort of develop some sort of extra movement and try and sort of dig the ball out, but there was never enough power on that. But West Ham playing out from the back, just 2 passes later, lose the ball. Yeah,
they've made a mistake here, and there's a heavy ball there from Lo Celso. Kulusevski made a good run to his right, occupied a good position. Lo Celso raises his right arm and apologises to his teammate because he's got to be doing better there.
He does, and Ange Postecoglou will be frustrated with this side, although they are, you could say they're properly 1-0 up in this game, as in they're winning 1-0 when they deserve to be 2 or 3 up in terms of their attacking possession. But that's what Postecoglou will be reminding his players, that really we should be talking about playing almost an exhibition game in the second half, because you should be 3-0 up by now, and you're not, and that means that there's still work to do.
Yeah, and you mentioned that energy as well, and whether they'll be able to withhold that energy throughout the game. You'd want at least a 2 or 3 goal lead so they can set the foot off the gas, and of course then you're not risking injury to more players, and I assume that's probably had some effect on those injuries this season, because they've had to play so many games with that energy level so high throughout the 90 minutes. They're coming forward now, though, Spurs, with Bissouma and Kulusevski. They have a little 1-2 between them, and then another 1-2 between them. Kulusevski trying to find room for a strike on his left foot. He's cut across the face of goal, finds Lo Celso. First time ball from him, hits the post. It took a deflection from Kurt Zouma at the front post. The West Ham captain did just enough to keep it out of his own goal, and a really good chance there for Spurs.
Yeah, he's just onside, I think, Lo Celso. If you got the VAR lines out, maybe there was a kneecap offside, but it looked like he was level. And it's actually the kneecap of Zouma that hands that right onto the weld between the post and the bar.
Yeah, he just stopped a certain goal because Brennan Johnson was creeping in just behind him. And the Welshman would have had a tap in from around 6 yards. Instead, though, it's going to be a corner. We've had played the 2 minutes of added on, so this will potentially be the last chance. Pedro Porro in swinger towards the front post. It's headed on by the goal scorer Romero, goes out for a goal kick, but that's not going to be taken because the referee has blown his whistle for the end of the first half, and in truth it shouldn't be 1-0, it should be a lot more, but after Cristian Romero opened the scoring, that's the only thing that separates the sides. It's half time, it's Tottenham 1, West Ham 0.